Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. I'm losing my voice already. Welcome to Saturday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. So, potential spin-offs in the second edition of the Russell T Davies era. So, there's lots of potential spin-offs you can do with Doctor Who if you can use your imagination. You can actually bring back Tennant for a spin-off and show the adventures with him and Billy Piper's and you know, Billy Piper being alongside David Tennant's Meta Crisis. Doctor, you could do that. You could have David Tennant return in adventures he had in the TARDIS that we never saw. The same with Christopher Eccleston, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi. You could actually do something, in fact, with River Song. You could, you know, the River Song Diaries. River Song has a TARDIS designed front cover of a fucking diary where she's written all her adventures in, you know, kind of interactions with the Doctor down. So you could have a spin-off series called the River Song Diaries. And at the start of the episode, you could just look, the diary opens up and you see something being written down, or you see her writing it down, and then we see what happens. It doesn't have to be like an A, B and C series. It can just be a section. Each episode is a section of the River Song Diaries, and not necessarily having her interact with different versions of the Doctor, because I think they're set in stone. I'm not sure if there's any off-screen kind of communication between her and the Doctor, but it's something that Stephen Moffat could maybe write. That would be pretty interesting. Maybe it could be like, do it for the Sarah Jane audience, that kind of thing. You know, it could be the Sarah Jane adventures of the RTD era. Because I think, well, I don't think, I know, he's setting up, you know, Who in Verse 1 is been set up for a reason. There's going to be spin-offs upon spin-offs, but he's not just going to throw them at us. They're going to come very slowly, as Torchwood did and Sarah Jane. But to kind of take myself back on that, the Sarah Jane adventures and Torchwood came really close to each other as well. But it did take a couple of seasons of Who itself for that to happen. I suppose if Russell can give these shows to people he trusts and showrunners he trusts, then these can happen pretty quickly. But as I said yesterday, you have to get the Doctor Who house in order. So definitely a spin-off called the River Song Diaries, or the River Song, the Diaries of River Song, or the Diary of River Song. She hasn't got more than one diaries, although if she travels through time, there may be multiple versions of that diary. But the Diary of River Song, I think, would be a great title for a Doctor Who spin-off. I'd love to know in the comments down below, what kind of Doctor Who spin-offs would you do? Because I think the potential is limitless. You could look at Chris Chibnall's era of Doctor Who and take, you know, a character that normally you wouldn't think you'd want to spin off for, but maybe could be kind of interesting. You could have a Master spin-off show. Now, is the Master workable in his own show? It's difficult. It's a difficult thing to try and do. If anyone can do it, Russell T Davies can do it. I would like to see a Master spin-off show, but then at the same hand, I think the Master is one of those characters when you see him or her, or however they identify as, slip in and out of the main show. And if you actually have a Master kind of show, I think we may get a bit bored of him, unless he's written interestingly. But whatever is revealed, of course, with the Timeless Child thing, it could make the Master more interesting and more susceptible for a spin-off show. So we'll have to wait and see for that. There could be a Strax spin-off show. Again, for the CBBC audience, that could be kind of interesting. But also you could have one set in the planet Slitheen. Slitheen is these aliens, these creatures that Russell created. And they're a lot of fun, they're funny, but they do have darker elements to the characters, and they're darker. And I think it would be great to see them on their planet and how all that operates and how the actual family, don't forget, the Slitheen are not, let me correct myself. The planet is not called Slitheen. The Slitheen are one family from the planet, I can't say the name. How do you say the bloody name? I can't. Fallopatorius? It starts like that and then it goes Fallopatorius. Anyway, I don't know how Russell T Davies came up with the name, but the pronunciation was always part of a joke. When I remember when Rose was able to say it, and her and the Doctor embraced, because it's such a hard fucking word to say. And basically, it's an in-house joke. Russell did that on purpose. So yeah, I correct myself that the Slitheen is not a planet, but they're a rebel family who escaped. They were going to be put to death. So I'd like to maybe see this family's origin story on the planet. Again, I'm not going to say the word. So that could be an interesting spin-off as well. So there's loads of, Cassandra, the lady Cassandra, who ends up dying in the end. But we could bring back, what's her name? Samantha Wanamaker, is it? What's her name? Anyway, she played the lady Cassandra. Not very good with names today, am I ever, you're asking? But anyway, yeah, you could bring back the lady Cassandra and give her a spin-off, show her many adventures before we met her in season 1 of the revival as well. So there's so much potential for Doctor Who spin-offs, and there's going to be more than 2 this time. Also, I expect animated spin-offs, but actually we did get a Doctor Who animated spin-off during the RTD era, and it was Dreamland, Doctor Who Dreamland. Remember that? Pretty cool, with David Tennant's Doctor. So I think they will definitely go to animation as well. So he's going to create this interconnective universe stemming from Doctor Who. Doctor Who's a bit more difficult to create an extended universe on, and I know in a limited way he did with Sarah Jane and Torchwood, but it's difficult. Because with the DC Extended Universe and Marvel, it's about the characters, the superheroes in this universe. While Doctor Who is about Doctor Who. So you've got to make sure whatever you do, it's still interesting, and it's still connected to the Doctor. That's what was so good about the Sarah Jane Adventures and Torchwood. The lead characters of those shows were connected, had an emotional connection with the Doctor. Look at Torchwood season 1. The whole thing's really about the Doctor. Captain Jack has preserved the Doctor's hand, which was chopped off in the Christmas invasion, and he uses it as a beacon. It's fascinating, and the whole kind of arc of season 1 of Torchwood is Jack becoming this cold, calculating, ruthless leader because he feels rejected by the Doctor. That's that whole arc. So it's all about the Doctor. Russ always said the Doctor can't be in Torchwood, but Torchwood can be in Doctor Who the other way round. But it was interesting, and you look at the Sarah Jane Adventures. The Sarah Jane Adventures make sure it's not ashamed that Sarah Jane met the Doctor, and Mr. Smith is a reason that if she never met the Doctor, there's no way really. I mean, did she find Mr. Smith? But that kind of technology, she wouldn't know about it. She wouldn't be having these adventures. I know the tagline is that you can have just as many adventures and make a difference on Earth as you can travelling with the Doctor, but the point is, she wouldn't have the knowledge and the experience without the Doctor. So, Mr. Smith's a great concept. Russell T Davies is a fucking genius, isn't he? He's a genius. He really is. And so this is what's going to happen now. He's going to do these emotional spin-offs with characters with emotional connections with the Doctor. Now, I've mentioned a couple of RTD characters like River Song. Would Russell just keep it to the characters he's already created? Would these be spin-offs about new characters? Now, the number one spin-off people always tell me they want is a unit spin-off. I've always wanted a unit spin-off, but it must, Kate Stewart being the lead character. We're going to see her in Doctor Who Flux episode 5. You lot will see it tomorrow in the UK, and I'll see it on Monday morning when it hits Amazon Video. Can't wait for that. So you could have Kate Stewart leading this unit kind of spin-off show, and that would be great. Having them dealing with these different alien threats, different aliens, name dropping the Doctor, maybe the Doctor turning up from time to time. It would be very, very interesting, and I think for Doctor Who fans, that's one that has to happen, and I think it's one that Russell could do. Now, what about the Susan Adventures? Yes, the Doctor's granddaughter hasn't been seen since the William Hartnell era. What if we bring her back? Now, I know that Carol Ann Ford isn't getting any younger, but you could bring her back for the pilot maybe, and then she regenerates or something. We see her regenerate, or maybe they don't use Carol Carol Ann Ford, which would be dumb because she's an icon and I think she's still around, right? And if they can do it, I mean, as I say, she's not getting any younger, but let's do this. Let's bring her in, let's regenerate her and do the Susan, the granddaughter of the Doctor show, or whatever you want to do. That would be great. Her mission is to find the Doctor. She can't find him. Every time she gets close, it's too late. She goes to places he, she, or they have been at, but she's always too late. So I think this would be a great spin-off show as well. Something we'd all like, because we've always said, is this mystery character Susan, always Susan? What about the Rani? A Rani spin-off? You know, things like that would be very interesting. But again, the problem with the Rani is she hasn't been introduced to a modern day audience. So that may be a difficult one. But you could look at some Classic Who spin-offs as well. You know, and call it Classic Who. The Classic Who Extended Universe. I mean, it's all the same. Some people don't want to believe that Classic Who and New Who are the same thing. There's always been those arguments. But yeah, look, there's so much potential in Doctor Who spin-offs in the brand new RTD2. So comment down below and give me your suggestions for potential Doctor Who spin-offs under the RTD Doctor Who Extended Universe. This has been the Doctor Who Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll be back again tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Until then, goodbye, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir.